Hello again. If you're watching this, there's a non-zero chance that you have just heard that you have a Cambridge interview. And if that's the case, congratulations. I know that when I was in that position, I would have killed for like a ton of resources about what the interview process is like, what I can expect and so on. And it just felt like no matter how much I read or watched, nothing was ever enough. So I just thought I'd add to the already quite extensive list of resources so that I can reassure you a bit. So the first thing I'll talk about is kind of the logical first thing to talk about, which is when you first hear about your interview and your preparation in the lead up to the interview. When I first heard about my interview, I had a very nasty chest infection. So I was kind of out of action for a little while, and I was really worried that I wouldn't get all the reading done that I'd mentioned in my SAQ and kind of not really done. And I was generally really worried that I was kind of screwed for the whole process. But, you know, I'm here now, so clearly it worked out fine. So on that kind of basis, my main advice would be, as difficult as it is, try not to worry too much about it. If you read over your personal statement, if you read over your SAQ, any supplementary essays you've submitted, and then just do all of the reading or go over all of the reading you've mentioned, make sure you're really clear on the topic you're going to be interviewed on, you'll be fine. Another piece of advice that I'd say is crucial for the whole process is do not compare yourself to anyone else. I know that when I was at my interview, I felt absolutely terrified because there were all these people coming out of interview rooms with big smiles on their faces. There were all these people saying how well it had all gone, people I know who were ecstatic about their interviews. But at the end of the day, it's very natural for people to underestimate their own performance and to compare themselves to other people. And you can know so many people who've done really well in their interviews, but that doesn't mean that you haven't done great as well. So again, it kind of ties into the thing about not worrying about it. If you spend your whole time comparing yourself to other people, you're gonna get unnecessarily worked up about it, and that's just not gonna help you mentally. So another question that I hear a lot, and I've wondered a lot, is what are they gonna ask me? And unfortunately, there isn't just one answer to this. There are hundreds of interviewers in Cambridge. Some of them prefer a very straightforward approach where they'll work through your personal statement and they'll ask you questions about it, maybe ask you a little bit about things that come up in the conversation, and then that's it. Perhaps more infamously, there are interviewers who will do things like throw footballs at their students or ask questions that are completely unrelated. The thing to remember is that if this happens to you, and it's very unlikely that it will, they're not trying to catch you out. They want to see how you think. Just from what I've heard and from the people I know, the people who got asked difficult or unexpected questions were more likely to do well in their interviews because it gives the interviewer a real chance to see what you're like and not just to kind of go through a CV that you've pre-prepared. What's really important for interviewers in Cambridge is to see how you'll fit into the supervision system. That's what they're really looking for. And it doesn't matter if you've won all sorts of awards or if you can answer really elaborate scientific questions off the bat. So the thing you need to do is just not worry about all the people who come in and they can bang, bang, bang answer all the difficult questions, because they're probably not doing as well as you if you're taking time to think about it. I was asked in one of my interviews what I thought was the role of Irish culture in the Irish economy, and it kind of felt a little unfair because it's just because I'm from there, it doesn't mean I'm gonna know everything about the subject. But I took my time. I probably took about 5 minutes to think about that question and to answer it. And I felt at the end that that was one of my most successful questions because, you know, my interviewers were nodding, they seemed to be agreeing with what I was saying, and they seemed to be enjoying the kind of conversation that sprung from it. And to end on a kind of tacky note, the most important thing is to try and enjoy the process. To think, this is my opportunity to talk with some really cool academics about a subject I'm really passionate about. And if that enjoyment shines through, you have a really great chance. And what they really want to see is that you have that passion, you have that interest, and that you have that ability to think on the spot and to reason through things that might seem difficult. Even if you don't get the right answer, what they want to know is that you're willing to try. So I'm sorry if that wasn't very helpful, because it is difficult to pin down exactly what they're looking for. But I hope it clarified some of the questions that might have been spinning around in your head, and I hope that it reassured you a little. If you want to ask anything, feel free to comment. If you found this video helpful, please do give it a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, I'd love if you'd subscribe. Thank you so much. Bye!